there right now. And if things happen or whatever, I think I have your phone number. I can just go to your site and call you. Worst case scenario. Um,
Sure. Well, if we get this guy, this StreamYard works fantastic.
I'm looking forward to using it. It's my first time, so I'm gonna go ahead
Oh,
and change
it's
my
your
browser.
first time? Okay.
Yeah, I use Zoom up until now, so I'm gonna edit audience, and I'm gonna change it. It's to public. Okay,
Yep.
edit post. It's to public. Sweet.
Edit privacy and then go public with it.
Awesome. So we've been live. I'm gonna get us started then. Let me pause it over here. Cool. All right. Hey everyone, my name's Mark Oppenheimer, and this is Connect Canine Conversations, where we help you better your relationship with your dog through conversations with high level trainers from across the world. Today we're joined by Larry Krohn. Larry owns and operates Packmasters Dog Training out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. He's been training dogs professionally for over 20 years. Larry is the author of Everything You Need to Know About E-Collar Training, a book with worldwide success. Originally, he became known for his ability to successfully work with aggressive and anxious dogs. However, these days, he focuses his work on the average pet dog and the average pet dog owner. Additionally, he has a reputation for his contributions towards the development of other trainers across the world through his YouTube channel and seminars. And lastly, Larry is known for blending working dog training methods into his pet dog training to help dogs and owners become the best version of themselves. Larry, thanks for being here today.
Appreciate you having me there, buddy. That was very good. That's very professional intro.
Oh,
You're a lot more
shucks.
professional than I am.
Somebody's got to make up for it. So, this is the first question I ask everybody. I think it's
Yeah.
really important to set the tone. Why do you train dogs? Because you could help people in a zillion ways. You're a federal agent. You could be training cats. You could be doing anything. What about training dogs speaks to you?
I love the animal. I love the connection. It's that connection with the animal that in this industry, it's really easy to get burnt out and get exhausted and get tired. And I've been doing both full time for a long time. I know people think I train dogs part time. It stopped being part time a long time ago, you know, but connecting with the animal and having that relationship and watching what the animal gives you, the way it gives you everything, it's just one of the greatest things in the world as far as I'm considered, you know.
And how many dogs do you own, and what breed and age are they?
I have two Belgian Malinois. Luca, my older dog that most know, he's been in probably hundreds of videos, and Mango is my 2-year-old female Malinois, and then Buddy, our 5-year-old Golden Doodle, 6-year-old Golden Doodle.
Okay. Um, this is a question I'm asking all trainers on my show. For your clients, what do you believe is the minimum amount of behavioral science that you think is beneficial for them to understand?
Zero. As
Zero.
soon as
I
you
like
start
it.
talking, I don't talk about science with clients.
Mm-hmm.
I don't talk about quadrants. I don't talk about plus, negative, QPR, none of that stuff ever, ever. Um, my main focus is the client. Okay, the dog is easy. I love the work with the dog. I embrace every minute of it, even the sucky moments that you're going to run into every now and then. But there is no success. I don't care if you're the best trainer on the planet. If you can't connect with the owner and provide enough real life, realistic education, any work you do is useless. It's not going to last. It's very temporary. So the one thing I have focused on over the years, and I think I've gotten pretty good at it, I kept simplifying my program and simplifying to where when I ask of the owners what I want them to do, a lot of times they're really shocked on how minimal it is. They really are. But with that being said, there's always a catch. You know, Everyone thinks of dog training as obedience. And so when I give a dog back after a month long, 5 week, 6 week board and train, I spend a lot of time with them, but the real magic happens in the follow-ups. And when I ask for them, I ask them in the beginning, give me 5 minutes of obedience twice a day. And they're always shocked. They're like, that's it? I'm like, sure. If you can give me 10 minutes twice a day, 5 minutes 3 times a day, even better. But at least give me 5 minutes twice a day, because everyone can do that.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, they feel like shit. Okay. But I say that the catch is you have to give me 24 hours a day on the behavior inside the home.
Mm-hmm.
That means you have to eliminate all the bad habits that got you coming to me and replace them with good habits. You have to.
And you
Without it, we can't go forward.
and I hear a lot. That's so true. And I've heard you say that over and over and over again. And it needs to be said over and over and over again. It just needs to. Um, you've done a good job in your business where through your selection process, you only deal with people that are seemingly open to doing that. You know what I mean? A lot of trainers
Yeah.
don't have that opportunity, and a lot of people going to get dog training don't know that that's what they're signing up for. And it seems like a big portion of where dog trainers fail is managing expectations up front for the owners. And you have seemed to do a really good job of managing expectations. They'll say, "Hey, I don't even know if I can. I heard you say the other day in a podcast, you had a dog that you said I might not be able to fix this."
Sure. Yeah. I promise one thing. I guarantee one thing to every client. I tell them, I guarantee you, I will treat your animal the same way I treat mine. And that's really damn good.
That's something I've
Okay.
taken away from you.
And I don't do anything behind closed doors that I wouldn't do in front of the owners. And that's really important. And when I ask people that come to me from a board and train from across the country, I don't welcome that. Anyone will tell you that's tried to get in with me. I push people away constantly. I don't want people coming from California or Washington to do a board and train because, for one, there's great trainers all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
I send people to trainers all over the country all the time. A lot of good people out there. And second, they miss out on the follow-up work. To me, that's the most important part. And so I feel like I'm going to deliver them a subpar expectation of what they want. But what the problem is, Mark? I have like a little bit of a presence on the internet, right?
Totally.
When it comes to dog training. So a few people know who I am or follow me. And I think that almost hurts at times, because when these people show up, a lot of them just think I'm some kind of wizard and this isn't even an issue. And that's not the case. What I do is pretty boring and pretty simple and pretty basic. And I'm going to, get through to your dog. But, I focus my attention, even when I wrote the book, that book, I wrote it in a way, not to make the learning easy for the dog. I wrote it to make it easy for the people to learn. And I think in the dog industry, I think that's where we're failing. We're failing with the general public. We just are, and we have to put more effort into that side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is exactly what I wanted to do with this show. Is I am not as good as a trainer as you. I am not as good of a trainer as Mark Goldberg. But what I do think is I can build a platform to help facilitate your guys' message to pet dog owners, and thus, in turn, maybe play a small role in that to help them. I want to get into some personal questions. I want to take a moment and go through your dogs, and I want you to speak about each dog and how each dog has helped shape you as a trainer specifically. What are your main takeaways? When you got done with Bruno, what was that one thing you go, okay, I'm not doing that again? And so I kind of want you to tell me, I want your transformation as a trainer to kind of be explained in tandem with your ownership of your dogs.
Oh, man, I love that. That's a great question that no one's ever asked me. Bruno was the best dog we ever owned. Okay. He was the worst puppy we ever owned in our life. He was a nightmare. He was really difficult, like really difficult. And he was a puppy when we had Sophia, our first child. And then I got sent away for work for 6 months. So I left my wife with 2 dogs, one of them being Bruno, who was the devil, and a baby. So it was tough. That means I thought we were going to have to get rid of the dog, but my wife wasn't having it. She threw a backpack on Bruno every day with 5 pounds of rice on each side. And she'd be pushing the baby, one dog on one side, Bruno on the other. And she'd get a lot of exercise so she could just manage him. And she did a great job there. He turned out just to be, he's the dog that put me on the map. Because, and I tell a lot of young trainers this, you guys that have the internet today and all this, it's great. But I was out there every day in public working that dog. It took him everywhere. And that's what was so hard when I lost him. Like, we had a bond like I've never had before with any other dog, because we spent so much time driving cross country, doing therapy work, going into nursing homes, and we did everything, we really did. And he was a truly amazing dog. And that was a family effort, you know, and he was a beautiful dog to watch. And the only reason I was able to start having success with the more difficult aggression cases was because of him. Watching him help me with the dogs was mind blowing. I mean, he really was, and I think it was just a comfort for me that allowed me to push the envelope a little bit. You know what I mean?
He seemed to be able to. He seemed to be able to adjust the dials. He was stable, as you might call it. He was able to pick the appropriate behavior for the appropriate
Yeah,
situation.
beyond stable. Like it used to blow me away. It really did. You know, listen, I was doing a show. I think it was a hunting show with him once, and you know he's meeting and greeting all kinds of people, and this family comes over with two little kids, and the boy was about 4 years old, and Bruno went to say hello because that's what he did, and the kid freaked, like
Mm-hmm.
hysterical, and the father got really pissed at me, you know, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah.
The mother said, it's okay, it's not your fault, but he had a true phobia of dogs and it was bad. And I said, I'm so sorry. I said, I understand. I said, but let me tell you something. If you ever going to fix that, this is the dog that may be able to help. And I'm not kidding. 15 minutes later, that kid was all over the dog. It's like the dog knew, you know, he
Well,
was just
Bruno was not to
amazing.
be messed with, right? I mean, Bruno, he was a Rottweiler, right? Those are big,
Yeah,
hardy dogs. I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
understand
But
why
he was,
somebody might be scared.
yeah, he was just a beautiful animal. And very few people were ever scared of him when they saw him because you could
Mm-hmm.
look at him and he just had a look in his eyes that was welcoming, you know. What happened as Bruno started getting a little older, I got a female Dutch Shepherd because I was still doing all the road stuff. And once April came around, he used to struggle. I used to do the free in-home demos. I used to do the demo dog. I did all that stuff that a lot of people still do. But once it started getting a little warmer, it got tough on Bruno. And I didn't want to put him through that. So I got a female Dutch Shepherd, and she was an amazing dog. Her name was Karma, like really sweet dog. She had the drive and the worth ethic that I wanted on the outside, and she was a beautiful family pet. But she died very young of kidney failure, 3 years old. And that's when I got Luca after that.
Wait, and real quick, Larry, would you tell me
Sure.
like what were the takeaways from Bruno? So like when you during Bruno's life and as Bruno's going on, like what were the things as a trainer where you were learning them, going, oh, wouldn't do that next time, or things that you really
I
like? Like what
learned
lessons did he teach you?
I learned to pay attention to him and trust him because the one time I didn't, I got him attacked by another Rottweiler. And he was giving me every sign in the world
Yeah.
that things were not right at that moment. And I doubted him. And what happened was I was working with a big, dominant, dog aggressive male Rottweiler. And Bruno was out there with me, and the owners were there. And Bruno was on my front lawn with the owners, and I was working the dog. And when I thought it was time for Bruno to come out, I said, Bruno, let's go. And we started walking, and he came halfway and he went back to the owners. And I said, Bruno, come on, let's go. And he came halfway and went back to the owners. And he used to do whatever I told him. And
Yeah.
I got angry. I said, Bruno, get out here now. Let's go, you know?
Oh,
And
I'm
he
just getting
came
goosebumps.
through. And then what happened was I kind of underestimated the speed and the strength of this dog. And before I could react, he got on the top of Bruno and bit into his back. And it's the first time I ever used a dominant dog collar. And if I didn't have it on that dog, I don't get him off of Bruno, you know? So I was able to choke him off very easily.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. And so, I mean, from you, I could imagine where you'd be heartbroken. You would feel like you just betrayed your best, you just got your kid, your guy mauled in combat. You into the lions
Yeah.
then, right?
I felt terrible. He was fine, and
Yeah.
all he wanted
Yeah.
was the tennis ball. He didn't care. He
Yep.
didn't hold a grudge. He didn't want to fight. He just didn't care. And when our Dutch Shepherd died, that's when we got Luca. And at the time, I wanted a puppy that had too much of everything. And
Wait,
that's
Larry, pardon me to interrupt. I want to go back to that dog Karma, though. What did
sure.
Karma teach you? Because each dog, even if it's for a short period of time, each dog will teach you something. And so I don't want to miss a dog because every time you train a dog, then it's preparation for the next one, right?
Yeah, the one thing that, yeah, absolutely. So each dog's been a little better with us
Mm-hmm.
because we all learn more in my house, including me.
Yep.
So I know the mistakes I made with the previous dog and the things I want to make better. And that's why now Mango, at only 2 years old, is the best dog we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Like she is unbelievable. With Karma, it was my first female dog. And I didn't know at the time if it was because she was a female or what, but she was incredibly loving with everyone. I have a picture that I posted not too long ago of my daughter, who was, I think, 5 or 6 at the time, and a little girl that was younger than her. She was the daughter of a client of mine during a group class, and they're both holding a bite wedge, and the dog is biting it. But I was doing a group class one day, and I was speaking to a group of people, and Sophia was with me. She was 6 years old, and Karma was with us. And one of the older women in the group interrupted me. She said, "Excuse me, Larry," she says, "Should she be doing that?" And I turned around, and Sophia had the full bite sleeve on, and she had Karma on the bite sleeve, and she's agitating the dog and fighting. And it blew me away what I saw, because Karma was barely holding the sleeve and barely biting. And I'm thinking, I said to the lady, I said, "Probably not, but I think she's okay." And it was unbelievable to me the way that dog knew how to treat her so differently. Like, the security of my daughter was more important to her than the sleeve.
And this is a Dutch Shepherd, folks. This is a very high
Yeah,
drive dog who I guarantee you wanted to bite that sleeve harder than it was.
sure. Sure. So I know we say dogs don't rationalize and stuff, but I think sometimes in a way they kind of do. And, it's hard to explain that situation. You know what I
Well,
mean?
for me, Larry, when I'm watching my dog play with a younger dog, he will be equitable with the time that he allows the other dog to win. And in jujitsu, if you're better than the other person, you don't just smash him the whole time. That makes you a
Sure.
dick.
Right,
Right? You
right.
try to create a situation where you win 51% of the time, so it's fun and interesting, right? And so a dog, it sounds like she was kind of understanding, your dog understood what level of energy to bring to that fight, so to speak,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
that tug, and that's just a recognition that stable dogs have, and you seem to have a
yeah.
history of
Her
having
her
stable
best
dogs.
her best friend in my group classes was a little female pit bull that was, when I say dog aggressive, this dog jumped through her owner's plate glass window to get to another dog.
Wow.
And that was her best friend. And they used to run and wrestle through the whole group class. You know what I mean? She was pretty amazing dog, and I wish we would have had her longer. But she was a big part of the kid's life. Renzo was he was a baby, he was barely walking, and he was doing things with her. And you see, that's when we started putting a lot of pictures and videos out and everything.
What did you do differently after that dog? Like what did you go next time? I'm not gonna do that.
Um, I don't remember doing too much, say, wrong with Karma. The one thing that
Hmm.
was different with her is I didn't get her as a puppy. She was 7 months old.
Gotcha. Hmm.
Okay. And so I'm big on that puppy stage, but I had seen her, someone owned her, and I saw her as a puppy. And I said, "If you ever want to get rid of her, let me know." And they did. Okay. So I take that puppy raising very serious, and I put a lot of work into it. Um, I didn't have her long enough to know what I would do different. You
I
know what
get
I
it.
mean?
Totally.
Um, if I could say one thing, I don't think she had a good introduction to the e-collar.
Hmm.
Okay. And I tried real hard to get her out of that, and it was difficult. And if I had to do it again, the dog would have never seen an e-collar.
Hmm.
She just never would have. And so when I would take her away from home, she was a superstar at home, but when I would take her away, she always looked like she was a beaten dog, and I couldn't figure out why, and I struggled with that. And I always tell the story. That's the first time I drove 14, 15 hours to go work with Bart Bellons with that dog.
Hmm.
And I tell that story a lot. That's the dog
That's
you
the
know
dog where you just started like randomly treating it,
yeah, and it
and
was
he goes, "This is
because
the
of
same
some
dog."
Yeah, it was because
Yeah.
of something Bart said with the next dog. So 6 months later, when I went to see Bart again, I took the dog, but I wasn't going to work with her. And he saw me working her during a break. He said, "That's not the same dog." I said, "Yeah, it is." He said, "Bloody fuck, no, it's not." So I said, "No, it is." That's those were his exact words. I'll
Yep.
never forget it. He said, "What did you do?" He was surprised that it was the same dog. I said, "It was actually something you said that changed her." He said, "What did I say?" I said, "Well, the next dog you were doing stuff and you talked about spontaneous reward. You know what I mean? It was
Hmm.
something in that effect. And it's just something that clicked. And the second I saw her ears come up and look at me, I just started marking that behavior. and marking it like crazy. And I swept her away and I took her down the road to a school and we started working. And when I got home, I told the wife and kids, from now on, if Karma looks sad, she doesn't exist. You don't pay attention to her. You don't feed her. You give her nothing. And from that day on, she was better.
That sounds like a pretty incredible lesson to learn from a dog, actually, when you think about
Yeah.
it. That dog taught you that lesson.
Yeah. Let me explain something what's important about that lesson, Mark.
Okay.
I tell people all the time that go to seminars, the people that take dogs, especially for working spots, where so many people fail is they go there with their dog to fix a problem and they just socialize and talk and bullshit and wait for their turn with their dog.
Mm-hmm.
If I did that and didn't listen to every word that came out of Bart's mouth that day, I don't fix that and I don't learn anything. So when you go to a seminar, keep your mouth shut and listen to every word of the person giving the seminar the whole weekend. That's why you're there, because you never know what you might pick up. It's really important.
Yep, absolutely. So that's Karma. Karma passes early. And do you get Luca before or after Karma? I forgot you said.
After.
After. Okay.
After. Yeah. Yeah. And it just so happened that Mohawk Malinois, who was based out of Michigan, moved to Bowling Green. And I said, son of a bitch, I'm going to wind up with these Malinois. I didn't like Malinois. I swore I'd never own one. I was a Rottweiler guy. I liked the stability. I had seen too many shitty Malinois.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to see John one day, and man, I was really impressed how all his dogs were loose and running around and no one was trying to kill me. And at the time, he was working Luca's dad, Jack, Outback Jack, who's like, he was a savage, you know what I mean? And I wanted a puppy. And he had a litter, Jack and Lola. Luca's mom just died, 17 or 18 years old. She just died like a week or two ago.
Oh, dang.
And so I wanted the puppy with the most. And I picked Luca. I was accurate in picking him. and he did. He was a beast. We made our first video at 9 weeks old. I had him for 1 week. And he was dialed into me. And the biggest part of our training was just playing fetch. He had a little mini wubba, and I would throw that thing all day long, and he would bring it back to me. And I would throw it all day long, and then I'd throw in a little obedience, teaching him how to sit or down or place. And that's what we did. We started doing bite work at 9 weeks old. We did everything. A lot of people, that's still their favorite video of his first video at 9 weeks old. You know what I mean? What that dog has taught, I think, a lot of people, when people see how intense he is, they always used to ask me, how do you live with a dog like that? If there's one thing that I'm good at in dog training, that's creating well-behaved dogs. That's what I pride myself on. He's part of the family. He don't act like that in the house. Mm-hmm. Mango is the laziest dog you'll ever see. She'll sleep all damn day. She don't get up in the morning. I have to wake her up to go outside. You know what I mean? And Luca comes in the house. He has his spot and he goes and he lays down. He's a little more active than Mango, where sometimes I'll say, Luca, go lay down, settle down. You know what I mean? Because he just wants to come say hello to everyone, but he's just a chill dog. He don't care about other dogs. He don't care about other people. He cares about me and my family, and that's it. And I hate that he got sick, because to this day, he's going on 9 years old. He does nothing less than 1,000%. He doesn't go get a drink of water less than 1,000%. He doesn't go outside to go to the bathroom less than that. Everything is full speed. And sometimes that can drive you crazy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I'm sure. Bit. And so what did you learn what did you learn from Luca? What has Luca taught you as a trainer that you would say is like a pretty, like one of the main lessons you've had from owning this dog so far and training this dog?
In the beginning, I embraced the chaos. I wanted too much of everything. Okay. And so I would have dialed him down a little bit.
Would you have even selected for a different puppy in hindsight?
No, I'm grateful.
Okay.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for him, because I had to be a better trainer with a dog that strong. You had to be.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so it forced me to really, really learn. And, I'm so big into the working dog stuff, and I have so much respect for the high level working dog people. That's just always where my interest in learning came from. The pet dog side just came fairly easy to me. It just did. Never had much of a problem there for the most part. But I'm still fascinated by the high level working dog stuff, and the people that I still learn from for the most part are some of the higher level working dog people that I respect them and love what they do so much. But I say it all the time, for you pet dog people, you're screwing yourself by not understanding the working dog side stuff, because when you understand the complexities of these highly driven, strong animals, it makes most pet dog training very easy. It really does.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So for Luca, you basically learned how to harness a ton of drive. You got to work with a
Sure.
high drive dog, and you got to see what that was like, and really see that to the end 9 years later.
Yeah, and it taught me so much about anticipation, how dogs anticipate things, because I had to switch up my training with him to make him slow down to think. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why a lot of the videos that you see me do with him, we've never done that before. It's the first time. And so to me, it's a lot more beneficial to the public watching if you do something for the first time so they can see the mistakes and how you fix them.
Yep.
So none of that stuff's ever been rehearsed, but none of it's fancy. It's just all the basic things presented in different pictures to him, but it's always different positions and routines. So he has to slow down and think. It makes him think, because if it's just the same thing full bore all the time, then the adrenaline is so high, you can't focus. I kind of screwed up with the healing in the beginning with him, where he'd always be forging a little, because I always threw the reward for him.
Yep.
You
I
know?
learned that from your video. I
Yeah.
just so you know, I benefited from your mistake.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And that's what I want from people. I want people to learn. I've made enough mistakes. Don't do the same thing. And so when I wanted to fix it, not because I was going to do anything with them, I just wanted to fix it for myself to get a little better. Now the reward never came from forward. Now it came from up top. It went off to the side. It went behind me. So it made him not know where the reward was coming from. But I've also showed plenty of videos where there is no reward, and the excitement and the love of the work, it's no less. And that's what's important. And I see so many people today without the ball under their armpit or the food or something, the dog is half the speed. And I think that's a really big issue. The dog should love the work no matter what you're providing. If it's just you and him, eventually the work has to become the reward.
Yep. Absolutely. And you can use the other things to do that, but it seems like people have issues fading that. I want to move on to Mango, because then we all know there's going to be a new member of the family here shortly.
Yeah,
Make sure
sure.
we get to them.
Yeah,
So
don't
let's
forget
talk about
Buddy. Buddy, everyone forgets
you know what?
Buddy.
I did forget Buddy. Would you tell me, because we don't hear from Buddy? We see Buddy as the lovable oaf that just bounds around and occasionally
That's
gets groomed
exactly
weird.
what he is. The biggest thing I learned with Buddy is don't get a puppy in the winter. That's the biggest thing I learned.
Yep.
Because I got Buddy as a puppy for a Christmas present for Sophia. And I remember standing outside in shorts and no shirt at 2 o'clock in the morning in 20-degree weather and just cursing the day that I decided to get this puppy, And so I'm getting my puppy in February. So it's going to be cold, but at least it'll get warm kind of not too far after that. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
going to be below freezing, hopefully.
Yeah, but Buddy's a really good dog. He's a tremendous family dog. He's got tons of drive. He hangs right in there with both Malinois, and he gets to the ball first many times with the two of them. You know what I mean? So he's got a lot of heart, and he's just a really good-natured dog. And when Sophia walks in the room, that dog lights up. That's his person.
Dog. Yeah.
That's it. That's everything.
And then what about Mango?
Mango, when it was time to get a new puppy, John and Paula had 3 litters on the ground, Mohawk, Malinois. And I went up there to look for a puppy, and it's very hard to pick a puppy with 3 big litters on the ground. So what I did was I worked with all 3 moms, and I wanted to narrow it down with what mom I liked the best. All 3 moms were super, but the mom that I went with she had plenty of intensity and drive, but she was very clear-headed and not so insane in the eyes. Very stable.
Yeah.
And so I chose her litter. And from there was one puppy in that litter that was another Luca. So I thought anyway. And it was so hard for me not to go with that one. But I promised my family that I'd get a puppy that was more of a working dog outside and a snuggle dog inside. And my goal with Mango was to create a perfect combination of Bruno and Luca. And I'm very proud to say, as a family as a whole, that's what we've done. She's
And
phenomenal.
and did you do that through your selection process, or through did you do something different in your training as well?
Both,
Did you Okay.
both. You
Tell me
know,
about the training.
um, everything happens inside the home. So probably, one of the biggest mistakes people make, if not the biggest, is giving way too much freedom too fast to a puppy,
Hmm.
or a dog when you adopt a dog. Too much freedom too fast destroys everything. Because from day one, instead of creating the dog you want, now you're building bad habits that you're going to have to fix.
Hmm.
So, you know, Mango's freedom was given to her inside the home as she can handle it. She was crated or on a leash, but if she was crated, she was with us at our feet
Yep.
with the dogs around. So
Hmm.
the other dogs get to be used to her, and she doesn't want to attack the dogs every time she's out. But even when we let them out for the bathroom, for a very long time, she went out separate. I still take her out separate a lot
Hmm.
because in the beginning, that dog will bond to the other dogs over you very quick. And then they're not going to be able to poop or pee because she's going to want to play. She's going to be a pain in the ass. So all
Hmm.
these little things create bad habits. So I put all the effort into creating very stable. Halloween, you got hundreds of kids coming to the house. She's out there greeting everyone. We have a friend come over with a 2-year-old little boy that loves dogs and does everything wrong that all little kids are going to
Yep.
go to do a
In her
dog. And I'm
face. Yeah.
watching, yeah, hugging, pulling, and she's just like, this is okay. Don't worry about anything. That's a tremendous feeling to have that kind of trust in a dog. She's a really, really sweet dog. The laziest house dog you'll ever see in your life. She really is. She'll sleep all damn day. I get up in the morning. I have to tell her, "Come on, Mango, let's go. Let's
Really?
get up." Oh
Because
yeah,
when you watch her go, you've seen videos. I know she had the food thing happening, so she's kind
yeah,
of still on the rebound from that. But like we've seen her, she's an animal, and you've also seen
yeah,
her. I love that video where she's chasing that kid around the tree. It is just so obvious that she has the
yeah,
kid's best interest in mind. It's a really beautiful thing to watch.
yeah. That wasn't even my kid. That's a stranger.
Exactly.
You know
Exactly.
that's a strip, but that is created inside the home, and that's
Hmm.
one of the things I try preaching so hard to people. Mark, you can't. There is. You have to put the effort into that part. You can get away without ever doing obedience. I did
Yep.
it for years. Not saying that obedience isn't important and doesn't help. It does, believe me. But for a long time, I didn't really do any obedience with my dogs. I don't think Bruno saw any obedience till he was 4 years old. And I took him everywhere, off leash, no e-collars, none
Hmm.
of that stuff. You know what I mean? That's created inside the home. You have to give your dog guidance and structures and boundaries and teach them along the way. You know?
That thing that made the most sense, that was the most succinct way I've heard you explain it when I was listening to all your content. Because this is, if for anybody listening that listens to a lot of Larry's stuff, this is not new news, right? 20% is obedience, 80% is behavior. We've all heard
Sure.
that, right? The metaphor that I think is super helpful and it would make sense explaining to clients is it's like fitness, and I like to use that. You use that on the Vermont Dog Podcast. You said it's like
Mm-hmm.
fitness, and I can tell you, I'm not working out right now, but I've been doing the Whole 30 for quite a while. I'm
Mm-hmm.
as fit as I've ever been. If I'm working out a ton
Exactly.
and I'm not eating, I'm still skinny fat. I'm still got love handles and cupcake.
Exactly.
So it's kind of how nutrition fitness is made in the kitchen. A well-behaved dog is made in the home.
100%. Listen to me. I work out. I've never stopped working out. I've worked out my
Yeah.
whole life. Right now, I'm still in the gym lifting weights 4 times a week, and I
Mm-hmm.
do some cardio, but
Yeah.
I'm eating like shit. So I'm
Yep.
260 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm big, I'm strong, but I'm out of shape and I'm not healthy. Okay. I could stop going to the gym
Yep.
and just clean up my diet and eat the way I'm supposed to, and I can get down to 220 fairly easy. No working out. Feel better, look better, everything. You know,
Yep.
the working out is dessert. It's just the cherry on top.
It's what gives you the
Everything,
abs. Yeah.
everything comes from what you put in your mouth. That's
Yep.
it. Sleep and nutrition is what's going to change your health and your appearance, not weightlifting. And it's the same thing with the dog training. Obedience
Mm-hmm.
is the weightlifting. What you do inside the home is the nutrition.
And not surprisingly, it's way easier to focus on the obedience because, as you said, the obedience, if they're doing it as prescribed, is only 5 minutes a day, twice a day, whereas
Yeah,
behavior is 24 hours a day. It's a
that's
lot
it.
more to ask.
That's it.
What do you plan on doing differently with your new German? By the way, if you don't know, Larry has a new German Shepherd that's out of Terry McCormick's new litter. He's going to be getting here shortly as a retirement gift for his what is it, 30 years of federal law enforcement?
25 years.
25.
February 12th to the day is 25 years. Then I'm free to say what I want and do what I want. You might see a different person, believe me when I tell you,
I look
because
forward
I've
to it.
had to. What people don't understand is, okay, I've had a top secret clearance for 25 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every 5 years, I go through a full, very in depth background check, like I'm just getting hired to maintain a security clearance.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to mind my P's and Q's. There is no getting away with anything.
Yep.
Okay. So some of the haters out there have been very fortunate thanks to my career. That's gone. That's gone. The handcuffs come off me in 30 days.
Oh
30
gosh.
days the handcuffs come off me. Bless you. Bless you all. Okay?
So
Just
so
saying.
with all that new time that you're going to have to say all these things and train your new puppy, what are you looking forward to? Because I know one thing you've said in the past is that your dogs know everything they need to know by 4 months old.
Yeah,
And
sure.
and we had a private one time where I called you and was talking with you, and you said how you were considering maybe doing that differently. I didn't know if you already have an idea about your approach to raising this puppy, and if you plan on doing anything different, and if so, what do you plan on doing
I
differently?
do. My goal right now is to compete with the dog in IGP. That's my goal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have to put myself out there and
Yep.
do something that's going to challenge me and cause me to fail and give me motivation to work on something.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have that. I've been too comfortable for too long. So off the top of my head, I start working with the puppies day one. I have a ton of puppy videos with Mango, a bunch with Luca, but I've really filmed a lot of what I did with
Yep.
Mango. The only way I'm going to do the same thing, but the training will be geared towards more IGP. So all the little things I do, and I'm new to this, but if you
Mm-hmm.
look at my dogs, like Luca does everything that they do in IGP. That doesn't mean I could take him in and compete. Now I have to learn how to put it together, and I'll turn to people with experience that have been doing it forever and get some coaching and help, hopefully. But everything I'm going to do from day one is like I have someone getting ready to build me an A-frame. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'll have little tiny baby things to go over for jumps like that. Most people won't realize they're jumps.
Yep.
I taught Mango the send away. She was 5 months old, 6 months old. She had a nice send away. It's not because I went out and worked on a send away. During her feeding time twice a day, I started prepping her for learning that. So with this puppy, my goal will be just to push that. Where I'm lacking the most knowledge is in tracking.
Yeah. It's
And
not
so
sexy, right?
I have to force myself to start working on that right away, day one.
Yeah.
Day one, I will be hitting up some people for help and advice because I do want to start learning more and more about that day one. Okay.
So this will be the first dog that you plan on making. I mean, it's going to be a pet dog first, just because of the nature of your family.
Yeah,
But
sure.
that caveat aside, you're going to be putting your energy into competing with this dog.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my goal. That's my plan. I got the time now, I need something to do. Let me tell you, I have a month left of work, but I'm using all my leave, so I'm not at work a lot. I can't be at home. And I have plenty of dogs to train, but it's not enough because I'm used to going two full times. Now I have one full time, and that's not enough for
Yep.
me. So I'm going to do my best to hopefully make Terry proud and Deb Zappia proud, who's siring the litter. That's what I'm
Oh,
hoping.
oh,
Those
I'm
are
sure you will.
really, those are big shoes to fill. So, if
Absolutely.
I
Um,
fail, I fail, but I'll learn something from it. I guarantee you.
let's talk about pet dog training because I think you just talked about probably what you just said could be the answer for this question. So I want to take that off the table. But as a pet dog trainer, what do you think your biggest strength is? But also, what's your biggest weakness as a pet dog trainer?
Um, Probably, oh geez, my biggest strength, probably the communication between me and the owners.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say I really put a lot of effort into that. I do, and I think that makes the biggest difference for long-term results, and that's very key. Without it, there are no long-term results, and that's why you don't see a lot of trainers showing dogs they've trained years down the road. I've showed a lot because people will send me stuff from their dogs. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Updates and stuff, and so I don't go out of my way to ask for that stuff. But if someone sends me, I'll show it. And I think the only way you achieve those long-term results is if you make a mark on the owners and really change their perspective on things. You know, my weakness, I think I could be maybe a little too conservative with the dogs at times, not
Mm-hmm.
push hard enough, maybe not demand enough. I'm maybe a little too soft with certain dogs,
Okay.
and I think sometimes, um, I think with the e-collar especially, I do less and less with the e-collar, and I think that's a mistake. I think I need to bump it up and utilize it a little more than I do. But I
Mm-hmm.
think what happens, Mark, I think sometimes you question yourself and you allow other people to label you something. And it was so important to me for a while to prove that I don't need this tool. I mean, Lord have mercy. How often do you see e-collars on my dogs? Never. You
Not
just
unless
don't,
you're teaching others how to use them.
unless I'm doing an e-collar video. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so I've gotten away from it so much. And I don't think that's fair to the dogs or the people because
Yeah.
it is such an incredible addition to an overall training program. So I think I'm a little too conservative in that area and I need to bump it up a little bit.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that. So a couple days ago, you and Terry got on for a Facebook Live to talk dogs, and I listened to it. It was great. I encourage people to go back to Larry's Facebook feed and watch that video. It was really good.
I put it
Uh,
on YouTube too.
you did? Okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
listened to it while I chopped vegetables for dinner. It was fantastic. So you guys talked about stability quite a bit, and you guys said that Terry McCormick, he has service dogs, he has working dogs, he has protection dogs. He can do kind of it all like that. Um, and he said when he's selecting a dog, he says he selects the number one characteristic is stability. But to the pet dog owner, how do they even know what that is? I mean, that's kind of a very ambiguous term to somebody who doesn't know and have a lot of experience being around stable dogs.
They don't, Mark. And that's why they should ask for help. If people really
Yeah.
want to get the benefit out of a trainer, get the trainer before you get the dog. Let the trainer help you pick the puppy or the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the biggest issues we see is people have the wrong dog. Too much dog or wrong matchup, wrong energy level, wrong lifestyle level. That would be the best money they could spend is to find someone with experience that's not just looking to take their money and have them find them the right dog.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was I had a client, a very high profile client, and they had a dog that was dying from a disease. And they said, "Can you find me a black German Shepherd puppy?" I said, "All right, let me see what I could do." And so Terry was the first person I thought of is because of who these people are, they can't have some kind of savage on their hands that's going to bring
Mm-hmm.
them negative attention. And so I know Terry's training real service dogs, doing real service dog training and breeding for it. So I knew his dogs were very stable. I didn't need an IGP champion for this family, even though Terry's dogs can do the work. So I sent Terry a text and, I said, "Hey, do you have any black puppies available or coming up or anything?" And he didn't respond right away. But when he did, it was something to the fact like, "I thought you were doing like some special agent shit and spying on me." He goes, "I thought this was a joke," because when I texted him that, his female was literally giving birth to the black puppy.
Oh,
I said,
yeah.
"Whoa, that's crazy," So to make a long story short, we got a puppy. And, you know, I was so impressed with this puppy from day one. And as he grew older, just the stability in this dog, he's got everything. I
What
love an intelligent dog also. So he has the stability, he has the desire to work, the drive, and he's crazy smart.
So
you
when you
know?
say that word stability, if somebody were looking at a dog, what type of behaviors would they go, "Oh, that's a stable behavior"? Like I know you said talk to a trainer, and I'm not telling everybody that just because we give a short little excerpt on it, but I did want to kind of say more than talk to a trainer, right? Like give an idea what kind of characteristics as somebody who's experienced, what does stability mean to you? What do you look
Sure.
for?
Let's say if I talk to a neighbor that's going to get a puppy,
Hmm.
and I say make sure you see mom and dad. Don't get a puppy without seeing mom and dad,
Hmm.
and I'll tell them make sure that you could be around them. They're not jumping on you. They're not trying to attack you. They're not shy and scared of you and backing up. You just want a dog that could be normal and be around you, no big deal. And people have to start learning to look at the eyes of a dog a lot more because everyone's always looking, oh, the tail, look where the tail is. Listen, I look at this end. I like to look at the dog's eyes because it tells you so much. And going back to Bruno, that was one thing with him why very few people were ever scared of him because when you looked at him, you knew he wasn't a mean dog. You could tell. You know what I mean? And so you just have to look at the simplest way for the non-dog person is what does the behavior look like? Was the dog okay with you being around? Did they have to lock the dog up? Was the dog barking and running away from you? Was he coming after you? If that's the case, don't take that puppy. you
Gotcha.
know
So if they have to do anything to manage the dog's behavior while you're around, that's a sign that the dog's probably not as stable as maybe you
it
should be looking
definitely
for.
could be, especially
Okay.
in the pet dog world. You,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? These people
Oh
are
yeah. If you're Bart
getting,
Bellons, if the puppy comes out and bites you in the face, you'll say, "I'll take it." How much?
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
You know what I mean? It just depends on
Exactly.
what you're looking for.
But
But for the pet
most
dog
of
owner,
everything that I say or put out there is geared toward the average dog owner. Those are the people that need the help. You know what I mean?
yeah. Um, Man, there's tons of great gems in that conversation with Terry. So you guys talked a little bit about, somebody asked a question about how loud another dog was, or they said like, hey, my dog's barking while it was working. They mentioned that. And you kind of went on to talk about the difference between disobedience or poor behavior versus an innate genetic characteristic manifesting. And where I could see a lot of pet dog owners creating a lot of unnecessary conflict between them and their dogs is when they assume a genetically innate characteristic is bad behavior and begin trying to punish it. And so this
Sure.
is a way in which I think a lot of pet dog owners do unnecessary damage to their relationship with their dog. So I think it's worth talking about, how do you know if something's a genetic predisposition for a dog and it's just not going away? And you need to learn
Yeah.
to make friends with it versus, because if you don't make friends with it, then the whole time you're going to be fighting and it's going to erode your relationship.
The pet dog owner is not going to know. And what they're usually going to do is they're usually going to make it worse
Yep.
because they're either usually going to be giving into the dog and giving the dog what it wants and rewarding that behavior in a way that they shouldn't be, or they're going to be punishing the dog or trying to talk the dog through things. Like it's okay, you don't have
Yeah.
to do that. You know what I mean? And I get a lot of videos that I work with young trainers, and I just saw one the other day that was kind of like this, and there was a lot of confusion in the dog, so it was very vocal. It was doing a lot of barking, a lot of fresh, and trying different things. There was confusion in the training, but the dog was awfully demanding also you know. So in that case, I'm putting a leash on that dog. It was off leash, and I'm just slowing it down. And I'm going back to very simple. Okay, so you're working on down in place, and the dog's back and forth, and there's chaos, and there's a lot of barking. Now I'm going to put a leash on that dog, and I'm going to calm it down. I'm going to wait. Then I'm going to ask it for a place, probably with no verbal commands. Just help the dog, and if the dog is quiet, we're going to mark and throw the ball, and we're going to start over from scratch. And we're not moving forward with anything until the dog settles down. If the dog, like Luca, is insane about the work and is vocal, I'm not going to try to crush the personality. My job is to shape the behavior, not the personality. Okay. And so, can it be annoying? Yeah. But especially some of these shepherds, they're loud, they're vocal. You know what I mean? If
That's
it's
what they were bred
creating
to do, right?
Yeah, if it's creating a clarity issue in the communication, then yeah, you have to do something about it. You know what I mean?
But that's mostly usually the trainer or the handler needing to manage the arousal levels, not the dog's innate genetic predisposition,
Sure,
right?
sure. Yeah, and listen, that part of that's definitely my fault because I wanted to bring out the most out of him. So I
Mm-hmm.
created some of that.
Yep.
And so now am
I've
I
done
going
a
to
little
go
bit
and
of that myself.
am I going to go and kick his ass for it now? No. But I'm also going to need you, no matter how excited you are, to do exactly what I'm asking you before we move forward and you get rewarded for this. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, and
those are
not to be a
things,
spaz about it.
yeah, but those are things, I did a video when he was a puppy, a young, very young dog. And I showed why we don't train with toys with working dogs.
Yeah,
His food drive is very high, but his ball drive is off the chart.
yeah, it's
So I
insane.
so I took my little red pickup truck that's still in my driveway here. God bless my wife. And I taught him how to place on that. And that's hard because he doesn't have much room and he had to balance. He had never done it before. So I helped him and I worked him through it and we were rewarding with food and he got it. He was able to do it and stand there. And I
Mm-hmm.
told people, I said, now watch what happens when I try to continue that with the ball. And I went and I got a ball. He couldn't do it. He was falling all
Yeah.
over the place. You know what I mean? But you see people that get these working dogs and they think it's great. And they're trying to train and teach with the toy, with the tuck. Forget it, man.
Yeah. If I
Forget
took,
it.
I'm a math teacher, and if I took, a 5-year-old kid, and I said, "Hey, let's go get a Slurpee and let's go to Chuck E. Cheese. Now sit down and let's learn some math. You haven't learned this before." That's
Right.
unfair to ask the kid. I would say, go be okay. If we're at Chuck E. Cheese, we're going to be at Chuck E. Cheese. If we're going to do math, we're not going to Chuck E. Cheese. We're not buying you a
Yeah.
Slurpee, right? We're
You
not
don't
going
go
to amp
to
it
a
up.
strip club to do your
That's
taxes.
that's right. So that's funny. So I want to talk again. A lot of what I did is I went through and I listened to your past podcasts, and there was a lot of things I would hear over and over again. But there was a part of me that'd be like, I just want to know a little bit more what he means by that. And so one thing I
Sure.
repeatedly heard was you talk a lot about Bart Bellons and influence and Michael, their influence on you as a trainer, and how like you mention it often, how that is a before and after moment in your dog training career. There is a
Yeah.
before Larry the trainer, and then there's an after Forever Change. The veil has been unveiled. You can't unsee
Sure.
it, right?
Yeah.
What was it that you couldn't unsee? And on a more concrete level, after the first interaction with Bart, what was some of the most useful, I could put this right to work information that you took away? What did you experience, and how did that translate into a concrete training method that you were able to start? Because you can go to Bart's and you can be amazed at everything he does, but that doesn't mean you're going to go home and do it. What were you able to immediately take from Bart's seminar and implement into your training to have great success?
Most people don't. And that's the thing. And we've talked about that before. I was doing very well with the pet dogs, right? And then I had the problem with the Dutch Shepherd, and I had been following Bart's stuff. There wasn't a ton of stuff back then, but I had been following what I know, and he was just, that was the man. So when he came back and started doing seminars in the U.S., I think it was the first one. To this day, it's still the greatest seminar I've ever attended, probably because it was the first one Bart came to the States back to do. And there were so many big name trainers there. I mean, so many. It was packed with high level trainers that came to work with him. But to put it in a nutshell and not to spend too much time on it, I knew immediately that I could be doing more. That was the big takeaway from it. I have to be doing more. These animals are capable of so much more than what I'm providing them. And that was the day everything switched more into working dog mode. That was it. I didn't use food before that. I started using food because of Bart and Michael Ellis. And what everyone thinks about Bart's seminars about back then, they thought it was all e-collar stuff. And it couldn't be further from the truth. It was so much more than that. You know what I
You
mean?
can relate to that, right? Being labeled as an e-collar guy.
Absolutely. And so
That's
the
why we
only
haven't
time
talked about it.
I've ever heard anyone disappointed about those seminars was because they wanted more e-collar stuff, but that wasn't it. Each dog was an individual. And the way he did it is bring your dog out. What's the problem? Okay, let's do this here now. And it was just blew my mind, man. And I knew I had to do more, but even just the little things, the timing of the communication and the rewards, the bite, the ball, the food, whatever it was. It was all the little details.
Is it just that it lets you know that there's different levels to this shit? Like you kind of thought like I'm pretty good at pet dogs, and then you went, oh crap, I could never get my dog to do that.
Yeah, because let me tell you, some of the dogs that were there that day were take Luca and multiply that by 10. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how is supposed to do anything with this dog on the spot? And it was awesome. It was awesome. You know what I mean? It was really amazing to watch. And I just soaked it all up and I became obsessed. I was pretty obsessed with learning up until that point, but that day it took it to the next level. It really did. And so I never stopped focus on what I saw that day. I was
Yeah.
constantly working on things. And each time I went back, I would take something else out and keep working on that. And even at one time, he said to me, "Why do you keep coming back?" I said, "Because I take something every time." It's I'm not looking for different answers from a bunch of different people. I just want to learn from the best that's out there. And there's a few people I think that everyone must learn from. That's just the way I see
Yeah.
things. You know what I mean? And I don't think I should be doing seminars. I don't think most people that are doing seminars should be. I just don't. I don't ask people to hire me for a seminar or bring me out. In fact, I do the opposite. I tell people no, no, no forever till they're like, could you stop being an asshole? People are asking, and I'm still uncomfortable with it. I
Yeah.
just am, because I'm not that level of a Bart or an Ivan. I'm not. But people, I guess, can still learn. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you can still help people, right? It's not about being
Sure,
the best, it's about helping people. And actually,
sure.
by you being uncomfortable not doing that, those are people you could otherwise be serving, right? Like
Yeah,
those people are
no, I
not
get
getting
it.
your help because you're what do you think is the most common, and we're getting close on time, so I want to be respectful of your time, and I'm happy to go as long as you want to go, but I budgeted an hour, so I just want to be respectful for you and your
Yeah,
family
I'm
on this
fine.
weekend.
I got nowhere to go.
Okay. What is the most common mistake that you see when you watch other people attempt to play with their dogs?
Oh, they're as friggin' boring as a dry fart. They just are. There's nothing there, and you get a lot of you either get someone who's just dead and there's nothing to them, the dog, it's just nothing,
Mm-hmm.
or they just do this. If they're playing tug, it's just chaos, and
Yep.
neither one's very, very good. Again, I've always played with dogs, thanks to Ivan, who I've never personally worked with.
Oh.
I've I That's a huge part of my program. Listen, I had people in the seminar in Tucson last week, that had dogs that you wouldn't think would play, not high drive breeds or nothing. I'm talking like husky type breeds,
Yeah.
and try to get the dog to play. And it's uncomfortable for people to act like an idiot in front of a bunch of strangers. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I act like the idiot first to see if there's anything there with the
Yeah.
dog. And it was incredible to watch a few of these owners with dogs that aren't Malinois, German Shepherds, and Border Collies, to see the change in those dogs. It brought such joy to the owners. All animals play, but dogs especially play. And the happier they are and the more you play, the faster the learning goes.
Yeah, and the thing that you mentioned there that really points out to me, it is so much fun playing with my dog. Is I'm not This is not some elaborate ruse where I'm learning how to technically play with my dog.
Sure.
The better I learn at the better I learn from people like Ivan, the more I enjoy playing with my dog. So it feels like I
Mm-hmm.
like jujitsu. I'm a wrestling jujitsu guy. I coached wrestling. I do or I did jujitsu, and the thing that is fun for me is just rolling around and playing. And so I oftentimes view playing with my dog in a similar fashion. And you can have higher
Sure.
levels of play and lower levels of play.
Yeah.
Um, but I think you're right. I think they just don't understand. I think if they bought Ivan Balabanov's Possession Games series where they talked about all of those things, it would help people a ton.
Listen, I had a previous client post a video today that popped up on Memories 3 or 4 years ago. He drove down from Ohio with a dog, smaller dog,
Yeah.
human aggression, resource guarding, had a bite history. I had that dog playing within the first week and biting a sleeve, biting a tug, and outing toys, playing fetch with toys. I never punished that dog for aggression. Well, no, I did one time when I had
Yep.
someone working in my garage. I did correct the dog for that. But up until that point, that's another thing. When I correct a dog, the owners know it. They
Yep.
know everything, everything. There's nothing kept from them. But people criticize me with that dog in the beginning. That's stupid. You got a dog with a bite history and you're teaching him to bite. That's right. And I'm teaching him to out and I'm teaching him how to play. And we were buddies. That dog never once gave me a hard time. He loved it. And I loved it. It was absolutely beautiful to watch.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think playing with your dogs is an area that, and Jay Jack does a really good job of fleshing this out as well as somebody who studied from
Absolutely.
Ivan. But he'll be on the show this upcoming Tuesday. But Yeah, I cannot playing with your dog. If you don't play with your dog, it's kind of like not using food. You're just missing a whole area of it's. You're just missing a huge. It's like not having an arm or
Absolutely.
a leg. You're at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
What kind of basic things everyday pet owners? What could the average pet dog owner do from the working dog world that will better their relationship? Like what kind of concrete things? Baby steps, right? We're not talking about implementing. They
Yeah.
don't even need to know about markers. What kind of
Sure.
things could an average pet dog owner do tomorrow with their dog to start incorporating the working dog methodology?
First, take all the resources away. Everything. That includes space, water, food, toys, all that stuff. Take it away. That comes from you. Second, put a leash on the dog and shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Stop talking. Just shut your mouth. Stop talking. You're destroying everything. Just put a leash on the dog. Stop talking. Everyone who does that for 24 hours sends me private messages and they're blown away. Like, I can't believe what just happened to my dog by shutting my mouth. Put a leash on the dog and shut up. You have all resources. It comes from you. It doesn't mean like you're not a dictator. You're going to enjoy your dog more. You're going to be forced to interact with your dog. And Lord have mercy, the free feeding people, please stop. Please stop free feeding. You know, the people that are giving access to your whole house to these dogs that are young, stop doing it. You're creating a ton of bad habits. The beautiful thing about working dog people, if you go to a working dog seminar or you're working with a working dog trainer, for the most part, all of those people want to be better. They want their dogs to be better. And you have dogs that are bred to do something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it in a way a little easier because you know you're going to be able to do something. There's no worse feeling than going to do a seminar and you have a dog that will barely walk 10 feet without laying down and going to sleep. That's intimidating. That's tough. You know, that is really, really difficult because you have to think outside the box sometimes, you know, and it's not always easy, you know?
That's great advice. People don't know it. People have heard you as the e-collar guy. I've heard so much of it, I don't super need to get into a lot of it. But I heard something that was kind of interesting that I didn't know, and so I don't know if everybody else knew this, but you mentioned that for a long time you were anti e-collar.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Tell me about the days of you being anti e-collar, and tell me how you got that mindset, and then again, what was the change?
Well, I'm a big hunter. I've always been a hunter. You know, my uncles got me hunting when I was 4 years old, and I became obsessed day one. And so one of my favorite things to hunt back home was pheasants. I did a lot of pheasant hunting as a kid. And you saw these dogs out there. I'm talking 40 something years ago. You know what I mean? Over 40
Mm-hmm.
years ago, where the e-collars were archaic.
Yeah.
There were no 100 levels. It was fry your dog and that's it. And back then, people had no idea what they were doing. You literally picture this. I grew up hunting in New Jersey, not the best place to hunt.
Yeah.
When you went to state land, this is no bullshit, okay? Anyone who's from Jersey, when you go pheasant hunting on state land, you have people that are almost shoulder to shoulder. And the law says you could enter the woods whatever sunrise time is that day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other end of those woods, you have people shoulder to shoulder moving towards you. And the second that first person walks in and the shot goes off, it's like the Civil War. Boom, 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 boom. I mean,
Oh.
insane. People get shot with bird shot. You know, there's fist fights in the woods in New Jersey, and there's dogs. A lot of those people won't bring their dogs out until it settles down a little. But you would see these dogs running around and just screaming and taking off further. Scream. People yelling, screaming at their dog, and the dog's just being fried. So I was like, you got to be a complete scumbag to put one of those things on those. So that was my whole life. And then somewhere, you know, early 2000s, maybe late 90s, I started seeing a few people using them and everything looked different. The dogs didn't look down and abused and they looked happy. And I kind of got obsessed with learning more about it. And I did. And I jumped into it. And I won't go into too much detail, but for 1 year, I became a very shitty dog trainer because everything was e-collar based
Yeah.
and it was pressure, pressure, pressure. And I knew I thought I was a pretty damn good dog trainer before then when it came to dealing with problem dogs, and I was, and I've never been a heavy-handed trainer. And even with the e-collar stuff, I wasn't heavy-handed with the e-collar, but there was no clarity for the dog. It was just all pressure,
Were you just kind
Stim-
of playing around with this new tool and exploring its
no, no,
limitations and
no,
its
no,
oh,
no, 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 no,
it's
not at
just you
all.
just being ignorant?
No, I went and I learned from
Oh,
the
okay.
people that were at the top of the food chain at the time, but it was all pressure based, and it
Interesting.
was stimulation and commands at the same time, always, always, always.
Yeah.
And after a year, and there's still people that do that,
That's
and after a year, I was like, I'm done. I'm finished. This ain't for me. And I got out of that very, very quickly, and I became more obsessed with learning more on how to utilize the tool better. But that was a tremendous lesson for me. And I consider some of those people or that person in particular an absolute mentor and role model just on what not to do. And
yeah.
sometimes I think that could be a
Yeah.
little more important. You know what I mean? So that was very important for me. And over time, I just, I didn't create nothing. I didn't invent nothing. I just learned from people that were better
Yeah.
than me. And I tend to make things my own. And the more I did that, the better I saw the dogs responding and the happier the dogs were, But more importantly, the better I got at teaching people a very simple, very easy way that they couldn't mess the dog up, the results went through the roof. I mean, day one, the dogs looked good from day one. There was no more down in the dumps for 3 or 4 days like there used to be with the dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people would tell me that day 3, day 4, they'll be fine. And usually it was true. But doing it this way, it was just a lot more fun for
It's
everyone.
probably faster too.
Much
Um,
faster, but it's also easy to get the dog off the tool.
yeah.
And so any dog I work with, the goal is to have the dog off all tools, respond to verbal command no matter what. That's the
Yep.
goal. Okay. That's the goal. That's what we shoot for with every dog. Does that mean everyone's going to get there? No. But if you try to get there and you fall a little short, you're still going to be much, much better than most of the people out there.
That's absolutely great advice. Larry, I'm going to ask you one last question. We're getting
Sure.
close to our time, and I'd love to do this again sometime. An hour is just not enough. But what do you think? I'll leave this with the parting bit. What is the most misunderstood part of your e-collar book? What part of your e-collar book do you feel the most misunderstood about that you weren't anticipating until you started seeing people making those mistakes and making those misinterpretations?
None,
None.
none,
It's a great
none.
book.
No, thank you. Listen, I wrote it for the people, the average dog owners. I'm not saying there's things I couldn't add to it. I could have made it a lot longer and a lot more detailed, but people want simple. Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'm not saying I would have kept out, but I never want people to misunderstand the act of God correction thing.
That's a hard thing to trust people interpreting over text.
Sure. But the thing is, you have to be honest with people. It exists, and there is a
Mm-hmm.
time and a place for it. So I think I've done it 2 or 3 times in all the years I'm using e-collars, very specific situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chances are you should never do that. And even if you find yourself up on high levels on the e-collar quite often, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You're so far gone. But the problem is, Mark, people, even though they say they do understand the concept of using it as a go, go, go instead of a no, 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 they don't. They don't get it. They don't understand how it can benefit the dogs. I'm not worried about the obedience with the e-collar. I'm taking the obedience to teach the e-collar, not the other way around. I don't have success with because of the tool. I have success with the tool because of the success I have with the animal first.
Yep.
And people are not utilizing it, and it's simple. I keep it easy that anyone could listen. I saw a couple of dogs at this past seminar that were messed up on the e-collar. Okay. Couple because of being pressured high levels, but more importantly, a couple because the owners went right to the vibration button and freaked the dogs out and surprised them. And as soon as I saw the response for the dog, I was like, whoa, you said you never used the e-collar on this. This dog has had a bad experience. And they're like, no, I hit the vibrate button once when I put it on, and he had a bass. Oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
Okay. But the interesting thing, we had a little Westie that the people had done some e-collar training, and they just wanted to come to see if they can make it better or change it. And so they had the e-collar with them. I said, let me use mine. I have the comfort pads, I have the wings, and I have the sound box already attached.
Mm-hmm.
And this dog didn't look good. It was acting bad on a level 1, very uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
One out
something's
of
not,
100, by the way, people, for that don't
yeah,
know.
something's not right here. And they're like, she works on a 12 at home and loves it. I'm like, something's not right. And so I kept trying different things. I turned the sound box off so she wouldn't react to that. It was a little better, but she still wasn't perky and upbeat. I said, we're not going to do this. We're going to stop. Something's not right. And as I talked to them a little more, we said, you know what? Let's put your e-collar on and see what happens. The dog was freaked out just by the feel of the wings. That's all it was. As soon
Yeah.
as the dog felt the different, that sensation
Contact
for
points.
some reason freaked the dog out. It had nothing to do with the dog, couldn't even feel it most likely on a 1,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just the feeling. And it was so fascinating to me. And so you never know. So the second we put that dog's e-collar on, that dog was rocking and rolling and flying around, man. The people actually did a really good job with her. So it was great for people to see, because if we didn't go a little further, Mark, and try to
Yeah.
investigate why this dog looks weird, then there's people there that thinks that the dog is being harmed.
Yeah. When in doubt, give the dog the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely. And that's what we did. So we're not going to push this. We're going to figure out, why is the dog acting like this, And it turned out it was kind of fascinating to see.
Well, and then you have that piece of information moving forward. So the next time your dog acts weird, you have another thing to be like, well, this one time it was just this. So you have that in your toolbox now too.
Sure.
That's now
Yeah.
I have it in my toolbox because of you,
Yeah,
right?
no, it's crazy.
So
Yeah, I've never run into that. I've never run into that before.
that is awesome. Larry, I want to say thank you so much for being here. I have a lot more questions. We're going to have to do it again sometime if you'll agree to be here. But thank you, thank you, thank you for being here and sharing your knowledge. Also, I want to remind you guys that Larry's book is Everything You Need to Know About E-Collar Training. It's on Amazon, it's on Kindle, it's like $10, and it is such an easy read. It is something you can read front to back, I swear, in an afternoon if you wanted to, and it works. So anybody that's interested in using an e-collar, I encourage you, don't just go buy an e-collar. Buy this book first, read it, go, because you might even buy the wrong e-collar. You might waste your money like I did, right? I bought a crappy e-collar. I read Larry's book. I felt like shit. I had to get rid of that one, buy a good e-collar. I was out $40. So Larry, thank you for your contributions to the dog
No,
training
listen,
community.
I always, I see it as a great honor when someone wants to talk to you about dogs. And listen, you do a great job with this. You're very good at this.
Thank
You're
you,
a
Larry.
very good interviewer. So you make it very easy and enjoyable. So keep doing it. Don't stop,
All
get
right.
more people out there.
Absolutely. Well, once I make the rounds, I'll have to have you on again. Thanks, Larry.
You got it, buddy. Thank
All
you.
right. See
Appreciate
you
you, Mark.
guys. Mm-hmm.
Have a good night. Peace.